Hello, viewers. Welcome back to Vibing with Mr. Marvelous. Today we have a guest, Kristen. Welcome to Vibing.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Marvelous. Welcome, welcome. So, Kristen, tell us about yourself and who you are.
I am a professional. I'm an engineer. I work for a medical device company. I'm a mom. I currently work from home, which I love. I've got two boys. Been married 16 years.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's in a
Fantastic. So, Kristen is an engineer. So that's why we're here tonight. We're talking about engineering today. So we're going to switch the topic. And as you know, we always type for a trivia question. And today's trivia question is, what is the most popular engineering field out there? Is it, you got two A or B, mechanical or civil engineering? So you have about 5 minutes to answer that question, and our very own Kristen will answer the question for us. So how's your day? What did you do today?
Today, I've been on call since 6:30. So doing a lot of work. Kids are home, so making sure that they're busy. Went to the gym.
Excellent.
And that's it. Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
So you work out, staying healthy.
I try.
You
Yes.
try.
Yeah. Every day. 5 days a week. Yes, that's my goal.
I love it. I love it.
Mm.
So I train Kristen sometimes. So she's one of my bun bam clients. We get into it.
Mm-hmm. I know. And I walk in and I'm like, oh no.
They get scared when they see me, but it's all from love. So you're an engineer.
Yes.
And what type of engineering?
My degree is in chemical engineering.
Chemical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. And you went to college for that, everything?
Yep. Went to University of Florida, go Gators. And
then the Gators. The Gators are very popular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been good. It's been a good field. I'm happy I chose it. I wasn't always happy I chose it, but it's been very good to me, so I'm thankful.
Brilliant. And you always wanted to study that area from a child, or like you wanted to do something different?
Yeah, good question. I think I wasn't sure. Like most kids in high school, you don't know what you want to do, but a lot of people in my family are technical.
Right.
My older brother was a very big influence. He's 8 years older than I am. And he was also going for chemical engineering. But I think my dad is also an engineer.
Okay.
I've got a lot of scientists in my family.
Wow.
My mother was more of like into sales. I knew that really wasn't my personality.
No.
Yeah, that really wasn't my thing. But
right.
But I was always really good in school. Did really well in chemistry, so I just sort of kind of followed suit. And I just just having that influence, I just sort of just put one foot in front of the other. I knew I wanted to pick something that could pay the bills. I wouldn't have to worry about things like that. So I just kind of just went with what was around me, which was engineering.
That's what you said, around you, because your dad and your brother, they realize all that. So as they say, what we see or expose most of the time, that we end up falling into.
Yeah, and it's true, and my mother didn't go to college, but she was very successful in what she did. But my dad was the first person to go to college in his family. And so college was sort of like an expectation, and that we were going to do that. And but when you're 18 and you go, you don't know what there's so many possibilities. But I think at that time, a lot of those conversations didn't happen, and so you just do what you know.
Absolutely.
So I have a lot of engineers in my family, and I was good. I did really well in chemistry, and so my brother was already doing that or had already done that. Like I said, he's 8 years older than I am. And so I just did that.
Brilliant. And how many years you been doing the?
I graduated in '99. I just told everybody how old I am.
Maybe. So you've been doing engineering for many years.
It's been a while. Although recently, yes, I now work. My actual job now is more in supply chain.
Okay.
So not so much engineering, but that background and I remember my dad. When I was struggling at one point, I'm thinking maybe this is not for me. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. And my dad telling me, like, you don't have to know everything. You just have to, it's just about problem solving. He's like, you just have to know how to find out the answer. And and that I have always lived by that. And so I don't think, I have to know everything all the time. I just have to know who to go to. And so having that background, that's just applicable in many different fields. It's a transferable skill, and it's been very beneficial to me. I've done very well in my career. I'm very thankful for the path that it's led me on. Yeah.
And you just inspired me actually, because your dad said it and you kept it. So you don't have to know everything. You just have to
Know how to find it.
know how to find it. Because many of us, we scared of going into taking a new role or trying something different because, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Or I'm not perfect, or I'll fail. Rather, taking the approach, we don't have to know it, but we can learn and find out the answers.
Yeah.
And thinking about it, Steve Jobs didn't know everything, but the way he became, because I like to study successful people. I mean, everybody's a success. It doesn't matter your mom or just to verify clearly, yeah, everybody's a success, no matter what field you're into. But Steve Jobs was brilliant. Everybody respected him, but he didn't know everything. But he had the right people in place to come together to achieve the dream he had. Because you could think, what's his background? He wasn't specializing in whatever particular area. He just brought people together and built an empire.
Yeah, and I think that that's also a difference between men and women, right? A lot of men have that mentality of like, I don't know everything. I'm just gonna move forward. And whereas women sort of just more stereotypical, want to know everything, check all the box before they move forward. And so that's some of what I do at my job is I help mentor, the women that are coming into the field, and we have conversations about like career building, and when you should apply for the next level or when you shouldn't. And that's one of the things. Like you don't need to check every box for the next level. You want to check some of the boxes, but you just want to have the mentality of like, I can do this, I can figure it out. And your past, how you handle things in the past tells you that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We'll take a little shot and then answer the viewers. So viewers, your time is up for your trivia question. So your question again, what is the most popular engineering studied out there or popular field for engineering? Is it mechanical or civil engineering? And drum roll, what's the answer?
Mechanical.
Mechanical is the most studied or popular field out there. So now you know, there you have it. I want to piggyback on what you said earlier about mentoring women. So your work, whatever it is that a big program where you mentor just coming on women or both men and women? Or
yeah, we have a women's like leadership group there, and I chaired that organization for several years, and that was a really great experience. Just having my own struggles as I was coming up, through my career, and just not being sure, not having confidence to move forward, and just knowing that that's something that women struggle with. And so that was a really good opportunity. I did that for a while, and I really enjoyed it. I still participate in the group now,
absolutely.
even though I don't chair it anymore. But it also, we have a community service outlet with that too. Just getting involved with instead of just being career focused. Making sure you get some fulfillment outside the job too. It was a big part, and I really enjoy it. It's been great to have those conversations and know that other people think what you think, or going through what you are going through, or have had a similar experience. I mean, it's been a great network.
And do your company provide scholarships and stuff to women in particular for that area? Or?
Yeah, I mean, there's it's a mentorship. We have a lot of mentorship programs within. I mean, the company does a lot of work outside with STEM programs and works with high schools and stuff to try to make sure that, women are still focusing on technical fields. And it's something we're involved in. Yeah, for sure.
And at your time, engineering was a big man's world, like massive, probably still today.
Oh yeah.
Still 80% man world.
Yeah, I don't know the breakdown, but that sounds right, especially when you're talking mechanical fields.
Right.
I think in the chemical field, there was a lot more women in that at the time, but it was so much smaller. Like I would go to my mechanical engineering classes and be like one of the only women, and that's true at work too.
Right.
Just going to work, being the only woman in the room. and having to find your voice in that. It's intimidating at first,
Very true.
and but it gets easier as you get more experience. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And has that changed slowly, the dominance of the male engineering world?
Yeah, I think some companies are really trying to put a focus on that and making sure that there's inclusion. I think I see that at work now, where it used to be not so many women. I think I was the only female engineer at my company for a while.
Wow.
And but now that's not the case anymore.
Right.
We've grown. We've merged with other companies and such, and so that's not really. There's a lot of women now, so that's great. That's great. And having like a different opinion on things, and I'm bringing like a different perspective is valuable. Having more people in the room contributing to the conversation always gets you a better outcome.
Fantastic. And now you've seen different parts of engineering, and if you had the chance to go to college, stick to engineering, would you still do mechanical? Chemical, or still you would change it up?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I think what I loved about having a chemical engineering degree is that it's so broad that it's allowed me to work in many different industries. I don't know if that's true for other fields. I don't know. I don't have that experience.
Right.
But I've been very, very thankful, even though there were some times where I was thinking maybe this is not for me. But just sticking through it and looking at the good part. I think that's another thing I had to learn. Some behaviors are born with and some are learned.
Correct. I believe that.
Yeah. So I had to learn to say, hey, what do I like about this? Because, this
That's
is
my next question. What do you like about what you do right now?
The problem solving, for sure.
Problem solving.
Yeah.
The opportunities. They're like, the headache. They're like, oh my God.
Whatever the problem is. Yeah.
Wow. That's refreshing. Most people is like, oh, I'm stressed.
Yeah. And there is stress, right? And that's another thing I would say is that there's been so many sleepless nights, so many times where you're like, you're so worried about the job and it keeps you up at night, and you lose so much sleep over it, and it affects like your relationships and such. But what I've also, learned, and it's a lesson you continue to learn, you never like stop learning that, I don't think, is that like the world keeps rotating, and eventually you get there.
Very
eventually
true.
You figure it out. And so it almost seems like those sleepless nights, maybe you didn't have to have them, but I think you learn something. It means you care when you're stressed about things.
Very true.
When it's keeping you up at night, I think that's a good thing. It means you care about it. And but the other pieces, you have to remind yourself that, like, okay, the world keeps rotating, the sun's going to keep coming up, it's going to be okay, we're going to figure it out. And I love that.
Brilliant.
Love the figuring it out.
Do you have a secret formula to your problem solving? Like step 1, ask questions, find out the truth. Step 2, you want to share that secret formula to your problem solving? Or?
Yeah, I think first, a lot of people get lost in scope creep. So I think
never heard that word before.
Yeah,
enlighten me. Scope creep.
Scope creep. It's really important to like make sure you understand what is the problem, like what is the scope of the issue. And sometimes people want to like talk about all of the other things around it instead of just focusing on the one. What are we trying to do here?
Right.
And so that's important. And then having the right people in the room. And sometimes you don't know who those people are, so you start the conversation, and as questions come up, you gotta bring in another perspective, another voice, or whatever, and to just make sure that the solution fits for everyone. And then the other thing I would say is that sometimes you're not going to find a one size fits all solution, but you still got to move forward. And so sometimes there's hey, we're drawing a line in the sand and we're moving forward, and being able to kind of make that decision or to know when it's time to make a decision and we got to stop talking. That's something that comes with experience also. But making sure that you talk to people, get everyone's perspective is really important.
Love it. I'm gonna take your solving problem experience and your steps to problems. I'm gonna use it.
Yeah. I don't know if my kids like it so much. I use it on them.
Right.
And sometimes they want me to turn that off and just listen. Sometimes people don't want you to solve their problems.
True. They just want a voice. Yeah, it's true. That's one event. I just want to talk. I don't want to know nothing. Just it's true.
Yep.
So you got to know who or what they're looking for.
Yep.
So you kind of gauge, and unless they ask you, "How do I fix it?" Then I guess you jump in and say, "Okay, this is how you fix it."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's funny, right? Because when you're working or whatever, and then you immediately go into like a personal relationship or a, a more something outside of work situation, you have to be like, oh, wait, hold on. I'm being a friend now. I'm not working now. So, yeah.
love it. Has the engineering world become one in the world? Like the U.S. is independent, South America. Do you work with all the engineers in the world, or
Oh,
your
yeah,
company
yeah,
is
yeah.
private, only in the U.S.? Or
No, yeah, it's global.
it's global?
Every job I've ever had has been global. And that's been great, I think at first when you're a kid or you're growing up and you think, oh, I live in the United States and, we're the whole world.
Right.
And then when you travel and you're like, oh, wow, we're like a dot on the map. And that getting that perspective was so valuable. I remember standing on the Great Wall in China thinking, most likely my children will never do this, or no one in my family will
Right.
ever do this. And I thought that was like the coolest thing. And but having those conversations with people, and a lot of times when you go to these other countries, you get hosted and they take you around and you learn the culture, and that's invaluable. That's actually when I started to love the path I chose. Is when I
The
started
international aspect, seeing all the culture, learning from all the cultures
Mhm.
internationally.
Yeah.
And you travel sometimes for work.
Mhm.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, independently, what was your first trip out of the U.S.?
My first trip out
Yeah.
of the U.S. My first trip, I went to Singapore, Korea, Brazil. I forget the third. I went to 4 countries at once. Yeah,
Out of college, or
I was 20. I think I was 25. I think 25. Yeah.
good age to remember everything. Good
Mhm.
time to experience, and where your mind was like, "Wow, it's a beautiful world out there."
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was scary.
Right.
And and I remember, especially in China, when I didn't really recognize a lot of the food, and I just wanted to go.
Because I didn't recognize what I'm eating in China.
I don't know what any of this is, and that was like
It tastes like chicken.
yeah. And you're at a group, and they just have to like. Remember my boss like being like, just eat it, just go. Because it's like rude to like not.
It's true. It's like, what about eating?
I'm like, I don't know if I can. He's like, no, just eat it. I'm like, okay.
I guess they respect the culture.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And it was great, to kind of be like, oh, I can appreciate this also. I mean, some of the things I wouldn't want to have again, but you can appreciate, the culture that way. I thought it was a good experience. Yeah.
Definitely. Right, back to the engineering world, is one specific area being like less being used, or one is like getting more popular? Like back in the day, civil engineering, because buildings was big. Like that was a big area. Now mechanical is.
Mhm.
Chemical, you think everything is balanced right now for?
I don't know. I only have experience in what I'm doing.
Right.
I talk to my kids about this. I have, one of my kids is kind of starting to think about what they might want to do, and I don't want to be. I want to influence, but not be like the only influence. And so it's been interesting because he, I think, is similar to me, and like, well, this is what I'm around, so I'm just going to follow that.
Right.
And I'm trying to say, yeah, maybe you want to like look at that, but maybe look at other things too, because there could be something that more fits with your personality, is more natural for you to
Definitely.
do. I think for me, it was more like I was saying before. I had to learn how to be good. It wasn't as natural. Didn't come as natural. And so I think your life might be easier if you are able to follow a path that more fits in with how you are naturally. So I'm trying to like guide him in that way. So there's some new engineering fields that are kind of more coming up that I thought might be interesting. We're talking about AI right now. There's a lot of AI technology coming up, and as a result, new fields are going to be created.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So some fields are going to maybe die off or get reduced in
Right.
some way, but like there'll be new ones created. So I've been trying to help him with those conversations, maybe keep our eyes open with that and what comes
Definitely.
with that.
And in your field, in the next 10 years, what do you see? Any big thing happening? Any big change, or what do you?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about engineering, is that it's always the cutting edge of technology. I've always worked in fields like that. And so somebody has an idea and they make one widget. And then engineering is how you can make all kinds of, how you can mass produce that widget.
Definitely.
And make it available to the masses, right? And there's usually some trial and error with that, or some iterations that have to come with, making, more than one thing. And that's kind of the exciting part of it. And so yeah, that's what I look forward to. I think that's what's coming, is just growing in that way.
Love it. And if you had to change one thing in the world when it comes to engineering, anything, one thing, and you could change probably 10, 12, hundreds of things, but you had the power to change one thing in the engineering world,
Oh my gosh,
what would that be?
I don't know. Because I think that, when you study something or when you make something your career, it's up to you to decide what to make of it. So like I was saying, at first, there was a time where I was thinking maybe I chose the wrong thing. But I kind of had to reframe my experiences and see what have I been able to do, or what have I been exposed to that maybe, I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I had chosen something else. And so I think you make of it, that's up to you what you make of it. So I don't know if there's something I would change. I mean, obviously in any career, there's good experiences and bad experiences.
Every career, every day, every job.
Yeah.
Like, I love my job, but some days I'm like, oh.
I can tell you that, like, I like for my kids to not have, I don't want them to always have the easy teacher. I don't want them to have the easy coach. I want them to be in environments that challenge them, or maybe where they don't jive as well with people, because that is life. And so you got to figure out how to be effective and how to be successful, even with those people around you.
Definitely.
And so, I've had to do that. So I don't know if there's one thing. I'm not like that. I'm more like, let's make it work, with what's here.
I love it. Love it. So if I called your best friend, your parents, and a few other people that's close to you, they came together and they said, this is the word that described Kristen, what would that be?
That's tough. It would depend on who you would ask. I think.
No, I just told you, your best friend, your parents, and two other close people in the same room. They came up with one word to describe you. What would they say that word is?
I don't think they would have the same word.
Yes, they will.
Stubborn? I think I hear that a lot.
Stubborn. Okay. Now, most great leaders are stubborn. Especially the field you're in was male dominant, so you have to be strong and stubborn to survive.
That's true. I think you do have a little.
I love
bit
that
of
word
tough
for you.
Skin.
Yeah, because if you were not strong enough, you'd be crying every day. Which is okay to cry, but you wouldn't enjoy it as much because you're stubborn and you have that strong will. So I would say that's a good word for you.
It's funny because that's how I started. There was a lot of crying at first because I'm a people pleaser.
Right.
I would describe myself as a people pleaser, but you got to add in some stubbornness, or you're just going to get eaten alive.
Very true. If you're too nice, people, like they say, they walk on you, they got advantage. And I know there's that yes man, but there has to be a limit. Okay, I have to stand and say, okay,
yeah,
no, respectfully.
And that's a good balance. I think
Correct.
That's also, something to learn, is how to still be like approachable and pleasant, but still be like, still be respected and still be like able to get the job done. I think it's been also something that I had to learn. Some people I think are just naturally good at that. Natural leaders. I'm not sure I was a natural leader. I think it was something that had to evolve. So, and being a parent, I think helped with that. You got these little creatures that are relying on you, and you're supposed to guide them.
Definitely.
And so I think that's been helpful. And I do think even when I'm at training at work, any training I'm getting, I'm trying to use that training in my everyday life. outside of work. I think all of those lessons are valuable inside and out of work.
Love it. I'm gonna go back to what you said about it may not be natural to you, but you can learn it. And it goes back to the big debate: are leaders born or are they created?
Mm-hmm.
And it's 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you got it. If it's not inside of you, if you want it, you got to take the right actions, keep working at it, asking the right questions and stuff like that. So
yeah, I definitely believe that that's true. And I think you always want to be learning, even if you have more natural talents and like maybe you're more naturally charismatic and people follow you more naturally. There's still things that you can be learning from other people around you. And I think
just got goosebumps because some people have great talent and they take it for granted. And those without talent, like Michael Jordan, he didn't have the talent he had. He failed. And he missed the cut, his first whatever. I just watched the movie. I didn't know about it. He went home. He worked hard. And after that, he kept going. He kept training hard.
Yeah, those are great life lessons.
That was a great experience that I learned from Michael Jordan. Now he's one of the world's greatest athletes. Mm-hmm. Like he failed the first time he tried the basketball team. Like he didn't make the team, and he went back and he kept at it, and boom.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes when you fail, that's a great lesson. I think you learn more from failing than being successful, right? And but you also, there's a fine line, because you also don't want to get used to failure.
True.
Right. And so you want to be able to challenge yourself and then be able to achieve the goal, but then you don't want to be like constant failure. And if I just bring it back to like the working out thing for a second, like when you get used to like, I'm just never going to win. I'm just never going to make the goal. I'm just never going to do it. And then you just give up on yourself,
Very true.
So
people, they start working out and after a few months, they don't get it and they give up. But you're right. You shouldn't give up. Change your strategy, change what you do and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Now back to the engineering, because you're an engineer, a scientist, I call you. She's my scientist. If you had to do a career change, like from engineering to something different, whatever, like 2 other things would you do?
Yeah. Okay. So if I knew I could pay my bills, if I knew I was going to be successful,
of course.
Yeah. So first of all, like I was telling you earlier, I love podcasts. I'm addicted to podcasts. I listen to podcasts every single day.
All right.
I think the idea of like having conversations, getting to know people, researching a subject, and like passing on the information or whatever. I think I love it. It's super interesting. I'm really into that. So that would be one. The other thing is I love to read. And so I sometimes read these books and I think I could do better. I think I could write a book. And I actually listened to this podcast one time that said everyone's got a book in them. And that you think, well, how do I start writing a book? It's overwhelming. And the guidance was to like start with an outline. So just start with an outline and then work around that. And I always thought that would be great. Like if I had the time and I knew I could still pay my bills, etc., I would love to try that.
So be a podcast host and read books. Any book you've read, like a powerful inspirational book you want to share with the viewers?
I can't think of one on the top of my head, and I read all the time.
I know you read. That's it. Like, just I put you on the spot, but
yeah, I'm on the spot.
We'll let viewers know. I'll type it in the chat, in the comment.
Yeah, I definitely have some.
So think about it. I'll write it in there for them in the description. So viewers, look out for the description. I'll write you one of Kristen's most inspirational books. What about podcasts? Any person that you listen to often than the other?
Oh my gosh, I love Hidden Brain.
Hidden Brain?
Yes.
There you go, viewers.
I love it. I listen to that one the most.
Brilliant. We're about to wrap up. So if you have any questions, let us know. But Kristen, share any final words for any young person out there or anybody out there who's going through life or is confused still, or college. At college, you're confused, like what I'm going to do, or in high school. Share some words of inspiration for any person out there.
Yeah, I would say that like not everybody has the same recipe, and you'll get a lot of advice. I think when you're struggling with where to go, and at the end of the day, I think God has a plan, and even if your path is not straight, you're learning something, you're getting experiences, and it's how you frame those I think to at the end of the day, like live the life you live. I think as long as you're just thinking about things and doing your best, that's all you can do. That's the best you can do, and you'll be good. You'll be successful.
I love it. There you have it, viewers. From Kristen, some words of encouragement, words of advice. Kristen, thank you for being on the show, on the podcast. Thank you for vibing with Mr. Marvelous. Thank you for your support for the whole Marvelous Motivation vibes. We thank you. And viewers, and remember, be marvelous. Until next time.